Well, I've done a bunch of videos now, and since I've gotten going, what's my analytics looking like? All right, you're kidding. Hold up. The algorithm's still pushing Darth.
Wait, what?
Guess people love to hate Darth Dawkins, but, I mean, what else can I do with him?
Looks like you could use some help.
Well, okay, Audio Demon, then let's do this. So the first video is doing much better than I ever would have expected, so thought I would do a full format video. The original idea was to do a one and done the way I look now and switch to doing videos of the person underneath this costume. Since then, I have gotten positive feedback for the costume, but I initially wore it because when I have talked with Darth in the past and got muted, he criticized me for being a furry as a way to tell people to ignore me, which is a prime example of the ad hominem fallacy, and since then, no one gives a shit that I'm a furry.
That's understandable.
Most of the things he says are ad hominem.
Shut the fuck up.
Well, it's true, Darth. Not sure why you'd be upset with that.
Listen to me, fucker!
Darth, look, just behave for once in your life. Anyway, to be frank, I still don't care what you have to say. I listen to you once in a while for the sheer comedy of your arguments. Most of Darth's entourage consists of atheists like me that want to hear the stupid things he says, trolls that want to get him to say them, and Christians that think that listening to God's gift to priests up. But right now, Darth,
You're in my house, bitch.
no one really listens to him to learn anything anyway.
You are a pathological deceiver.
Really? The Christians that you haven't already pushed away already believe the babble you puke out, and it's the same thing every time, so they aren't learning anything. They're just there to listen to their philosophical sugar daddy.
Ooh, drama.
The atheists don't listen to you learn, they listen to laugh, else more of the experienced ones would speak up, and the experienced ones that do, you mute because they aren't following your script. And the trolls listen to barge in and get you unhinged, which is why you have a troll list. You even admit to having trolls and stalkers yourself. The latest time you had a large room, Tom Rabbit recorded you demanding everyone in the room get muted that wanted to talk to you until you had someone inexperienced to talk to, and you had them muted anyway. So no, not lying. So Darth,
How does it feel to be such a total failure?
I seriously have no idea what I'm going to do as a follow-up to the video, because I never heard Darth say anything other than his usual script. It's the one and the many problem, over and over and over. That's why the first video was only 10 minutes long. I couldn't think of any unique material he has ever said. Now that I'm used to this, I'll try to do a bit more. For now, I will point out the flaw in Darth's script. It's all over his...
Okay, the question is, what is it that is ultimate, absolute, and unconditionally non-dependent that provides for all dependent states? What is it?
For fuck's sake, Darth, but yeah, he does this entire ultimate thing, or he asks, what is the one thing that substantiates the universe in which all things depend? If it's not this generic God, he said, is the hypothetical, but describes the Christian God exactly. Keeping in mind, anytime anyone else comes up with a hypothetical deity, he will go bonkers on them too. Anyway, I'm fairly certain there is one thing out there that everything depends on. I mean, I don't know what it is, but... I don't know! Darth, we did that joke the last time. It's not going to work twice. Come on. Fuck. I mean, when it comes to you, even the jokes are the same. But fine, let me repeat the argument against your Trinitarian bitch boy. Christians believe in a Trinitarian God, three aspects called the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Those three aspects are independently and also completely God in your worldview. So God has three aspects. Because of this, God now has parts. God has a many and is also a one. This is definitionally the one and the many problem.
He wants to pretend like he's doing a community college lecture, and he...
Easy, audio demon. Darth can respond after. Let's start with an example of the one and the many. So let's take a pile of sand. If you take a grain of sand away from the pile, it's still a pile. Take away another one, still a pile. But you have taken away from it. Keep taking grains of sand away. At what point is it no longer a pile if each grain you take away does not change what it is? And now, is a single grain of sand still a pile? If not, how about 2? 3? Adding single grains of sand did not make it a pile. So at what point do singular grains of sand become a pile? This question can't be answered, of course. It's a pile of sand, or is it grains of sand? And that's the problem. Let's take God instead. If you took Jesus out of the equation and leave the Father and the Holy Spirit, are they still God? Jesus is supposed to be God too. So now do you have 2 gods? If I split up the pile of sand, I would have 2 piles. So if I split up the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, each of them are God. So would that mean you now have 3 gods? But if they're together, it's 1 God? So the question I asked Darth is, what is the unifying factor for the 3 aspects of God that make them all God? And since there must be something that unifies them, that thing can't be God, because God can't both be the result and the method to the unification, since the thing that unifies them to make them God must therefore exist before the unification can take place. Now that there is something that must be greater than God, what is that metaphysical ultimate that unifies his God, since it's not God? And why doesn't Darth worship this new God? The logic here really isn't that hard to follow to understand. There really is no way out of the one and the many problem when it comes to the Christian Trinity. So Darth, does the Trinity make sense anymore?
No coherent sense.
Exactly. So Darth's ultimate authority isn't so ultimate anymore.
Alrighty, job well done.
Now, the interesting part of this is, mid-writing on this script, I had done a test short with Darth that had a commenter tell me I'm mistaken. I'll ask the audio demon to take a step back and just change my voice in place of the commenter. Demon?
Hey, bitch!
Will that work for you?
Absolutely!
Thanks. They aren't a minion of Darth's, and for privacy I won't reveal who made the comment. You'll have to look it up for yourself. The commenter said this: "This argument is gravely mistaken with regards to what the Trinity actually is. The Trinity is the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, each of which individually and collectively is God. So the Father is God, the Son is God, and the Holy Spirit is God. They are a singular God. The one and the many problem is based upon the array of objects that exist in the world. The article I believe you quoted from explains it like this: all human cultures in some way have to deal with accounting for the myriad of objects and phenomena surrounding them. We live in a world of infinite objects that are constantly changing. Even in this imposing world of objects and change, there seems to be an underlying unity and stability." Yes and no. One and the many is also talking about each individual thing being made up of parts. Those parts can be rearranged to make other things like oxygen and hydrogen. They can be combined in one way to make explosives and another way to make water. But the oxygen is also breathable while water isn't. But it is also about the thing that unifies the other things. The one and the many problem asks, what is the ultimate that takes the oxygen and hydrogen and makes those two useful for many different things when combined differently? Our commenter addresses this too. It's evident that the problem concerns the regularity of the nature of objects, not the unification of these objects into some sort of set. This leads to a misunderstanding concerning the Trinity. The Trinity does not propose a part-whole relationship in God. But it does. If it were not a part-whole relationship, Jesus would not have been able to say something like, my God, why have you forsaken me?" He was talking to God the Father. So the Son is separate from the Father, so he could sacrifice himself for mankind. Two parts of a whole. In fact, Jesus mentions this many times in the New Testament, responding to people that he is the Father. They are one and yet separate parts. So God the Son is and isn't the Father. Christians like Darth Dawkins don't hold to the notion that the persons of God exist as members of a set we call the divine essence, but rather they believe that the persons of God subsist in the divine essence, similar to how any given man subsists in mankind. And yet Darth will talk about God's triune nature, and when questioned about things he has responded to that it was God's nature. So will many other Christians and Catholics. The three essences of God are in whole and in part God. We do not say that an individual person like Joe Biden is 1/8 billionth mankind. He is not a percentage of mankind. He subsists in mankind because he is a man. In like way, the three persons of the Trinity are not 1/3 of God, which would then require some reason for the unification, but rather they subsist in a divine essence. Okay, a lot to talk about here. You're right. No one is going to say that Joe Biden is 1/8 billionth mankind, but he is one of the 8 billion that make up mankind. Because of that, Joe is part of mankind. He, in and of himself, isn't mankind. But God is different. Biblically, Jesus isn't a part of God. Jesus is God. The Father isn't a part of God. The Father is God. The Holy Spirit isn't a part of God. The Holy Spirit is God. They are all God. So we are not saying that Jesus is a part of God, but that he's still the one and the many problem. If Jesus is God, and the Father is God, and the Holy Spirit is God, while all three of them are God, what higher aspect is responsible for this? There must be something greater than that to allow for that to be possible. And again, it can't be God, because he can't be the answer to the question and be the question itself. Hopefully, that clears things up for the commenter. I agree with you that Darth Dawkins' argument fails, but to say that the Trinity is the reason his argument fails is very mistaken. The reason his argument fails is that the regularity of the natures of objects can be brute fact force. It doesn't need to be a personal mind. This is just as true. Well, except the Trinity thing, that's still fucked. But yes, the universe can just be brute and we would still be here. Darth needs to come up with a convincing argument for why things can't be brute and must be a mind. He's never succeeded in doing this. Now that Darth's ultimate bullshit is out of the way, let's just destroy his entire worldview. Darth believes the universe is 6,000 years old and he is a young Earth creationist. He also believes evolution never happened. Oh, not even close. And I don't think the RDO demon's done either.
He's got a few more hits in him.
Exactly. Since I've been crapping all over young Earth as of late, let's do evolution instead. What do you got to say about it, Darth?
The secret sauce for evolution is deep time. Okay. But when you actually investigate it, the deep time that is there isn't enough time for evolution to happen.
Now hold up. I didn't want to do young Earth here. Are we combining young Earth and evolution? There is billions of years. We've demonstrated that time and time again. We have a full theory for abiogenesis I touched on in the last video, and a full theory of evolution. So what are you talking about here, Darth?
There's not enough time, even in a massive universe, there's not enough time and trials for mutations to build the genome of the animal kingdom.
Oh, so you think billions of years isn't enough time to build a genome of species through evolution? Well, Darth, you are, as always, wrong. We have seen speciation happen in our lifetimes, and especially in your lifetime. Darwin's finches and the London Underground mosquito for a short time, and we have fossils of nearly complete evolution of the horse we know today. So, to say there isn't enough time is just plain wrong. Why do you think there isn't enough time? And are you talking about evolution or abiogenesis?
If there's one chance in 10 followed by 100 zeros, do you know how many elementary particles many scientists conjecture are in the universe? They conjecture that it's 10 to the power of 80 zeros.
Fucking hell. That's not the odds. I know where you're going with this, but I want to let you make the argument for it like a dumbass.
The odds of mutations producing the coding sequence for a rudimentary protein are 10 followed by 100 zeros. That's just for a protein.
Yep, complete stupidity. Yes, Darth, you are stupid. We did that in a damn lab on the first attempt. We turned inorganic matter into amino acids under sterile conditions with a series of glass tubes, water, and electricity. Just like we predicted with abiogenesis in the Miller-Urey experiment back in the 1950s before you were even born. This has been a thing your entire life, and yet you are still going to claim that? Just a tiny bit of research would have gotten you the entire experiment. So what you are instead trying to say is these guys were the luckiest people on the planet since they did it multiple times and others continue to replicate the experiment. So either you are right and the entirety of the human race is collectively lucky to the point we can make proteins on cue, you are completely oblivious to the world around you, or you are intellectually dishonest. I'm going with the latter for this one. Where are you going with this?
Because it's coming from that there's a 100 amino acid sequence in a rudimentary protein.
So what Darth is trying to talk about is an RNA molecule. And as usual, Darth's an idiot. He's trying to say that the odds on it happening in a specific way is 1 followed by 100 zeros. But there is 1 followed by 100 zeros ways to do it. Like my cubes here. There is 42 quintillion, 252 quadrillion, 3 trillion, 274 billion, 489 million, 856,000 combinations just the 3x3 could be in by random scrambling. I can solve every one of them. Now, using Darth's logic, I would have had to memorize every one of these patterns to solve it in any given state. Of course, I didn't do that. I put the parts where they're supposed to go no matter where they are in the cube, and the amino acids will fit together on their own. RNA forms spontaneously when amino acids are clumped together. To put in layman's terms, chemicals that want to react with each other will react when mixed with each other. So what Darth doesn't really understand after drinking the Kenthoven Flavorade is that even with a Google ways to assemble it, it will assemble into one of those structures. The odds on it not astronomical if it will happen. Only that it would happen in one particular way.
You are so cute when you are serious.
Aw, thank you. But it's like winning the lottery. Even with the odds of the 1 in 10 billion, someone always wins, as eventually someone will pick the right combination of numbers. If you have 2 billion tickets, all different to that 1 in 10 billion chance, your odds of winning are not 1 in 10 billion, it's 1 in 5. So that's the odds of it happening here. Now, apply those same odds on every planet capable of life in the galaxy. Abiogenesis happened. It happened here, and likely happened elsewhere too.
Well, there are only 20 amino acids that are used in biology.
And you thought the cube analogy was some random thing I pulled out of my ass.
So any random arrangement of 3 nucleotides will yield one of 20 possible amino acids. So, for example, if you have to have 2 amino acids in a correct functional sequence, the first one is 1 in 20. The next one is 1 in 400. The next one is 1 in 8,000.
See what I mean? This is Darth's logic. In his head, he thinks you need to have a specific certain sequence for these nucleotides to function. But you don't. In his mind, it's like a box of Legos of 2x2, 4x2, 6x2, and 8x2. Your goal would be to pull out a sequence of random parts until you have 100 of them, then blindly pulling out the exact part one at a time and hoping they are in the correct order so you match like a length of 10 every time. When it's more like dumping the rest of the box onto the floor and looking for the correct matching piece, it doesn't matter how long the sequence is, you will find the matching corresponding part. Just like you will get a viable strand of DNA protein. Again, I am really oversimplifying it, but it generally is the same basic principle.
Alrighty, job well done.
Now that we've shown abiogenesis for dummies to the biggest dummy, will he ever talk about speciation? I'll give a hint. Nope, he accepts speciation. He just doesn't accept abiogenesis. He thinks it's
Pure angelic power.
He gets so caught up that when someone with a degree in biology has a talk with him, Darth doesn't listen to anything they say. And that's Darth's biggest issue. Darth doesn't listen. Oh, he says he will listen, but like so many Christians, when you go to talk to them, they don't want a conversation. They just wait for their turn to speak. And in Darth's case, he doesn't even wait for that. He just will talk over you constantly. I mean, I could make an hour-long video of him interrupting people with the excuse that he is interjecting. For example,
I don't care what he says, I just want to know where the number 10 to the power of 100 came from.
and
You're still missing some
Are
information.
you going to answer my question, or are you still going to filibuster all over the place?
Okay, well, you tell me,
and
Knuckles.
Can you just answer my question before you start bombarding me with questions?
I'm not going to keep...
but he accuses other people of his degeneracy.
Because you're acting so immaturely, you're rude and interruptive.
He demands people get muted in channels he doesn't run.
Any sign of heckling, catcalling, or trolling, just mute them. Mute him. Mute him right now. Mute him. He's done. Mute Jay. Mute him, please. Mute him.
Would you mute him? Mute him. Would you please mute him?
I'm talking.
I do not indict people unfairly.
And when he gets modded,
You mute me again, and I'll leave.
anything the audio clip demon wants to tell him,
Why don't you shut your trap, you judgmental cotton candy tit-having bitch?
in the end, Darth is a complete joke. He is the laughing stock of the atheist community, not to be taken seriously. He is shunned by his peers and has been kicked out of more servers on Discord, Paltalk, Clubhouse, and various platforms than times I have farted in my life, and his attitude stinks just as bad.
You're a loser, baby.
See, even the audio clip demon hates you.
Well, let me just say you're correct.
Darth is running out of people that want to talk to him, and even faster, he is running out of cheerleaders that want to stand with him. His Discord channels have gone dead, so now he is looking for a new audience he can abuse on TikTok. The best thing the debate community can do is just ignore him. If he joins a room he has sycophants in, leave. Just leave him in there with his cheerleaders. They'll get bored of him too. The more people egg him on, the more he will come around. He loves the drama and the chance to get hate angry. Take that away from him. Besides, after he leaked his face and allowed all of his haters to absolutely identify him and reveal he is exactly who everyone thought he was all along, it makes everything he has been accused of doing no longer an accusation. Special thanks to Tom Rabbit for getting that reveal on camera for everyone in the world to now have access to. So, Darth.
Thanks for another forgettable experience.
I am Corsi, and this is The Fluffy Atheist. If you like this, thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe. Share me with friends to learn or just point and laugh. I'm good either way.